Steven with Parts Doctor. In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the idler pulley tension spring in the Samsung dryer. The tools needed are listed in the description below. Let's get started. The idler pulley tension spring pulls on the idler pulley bracket to keep constant pressure applied to the dry belt. If the spring breaks or detaches, the belt will fall off the idler pulley and motor. On some model dryers, a safety switch will then detect when the pulley no longer has tension on the belt, causing the dryer to not start or run. For this repair, unplug or disconnect power to the dryer. First, we need to get access to the back of the dryer to remove the two screws holding on the top cover. Next, place your foot at the bottom of the dryer. Place your hands on the top and pull towards you until the top cover releases. This may require some force. Now, remove these 4 Phillips screws. Next, gently lift up on the control panel to release it, then tilt forward, being careful as it's still connected by wires. Then, remove the 2 electrical connectors by depressing the locking tab, gently wiggling until it releases, and remove the wires from the retainers. Once the wires are removed, you can separate the control panel from the chassis. Next, remove these 2 Phillips screws to remove the door. Then, firmly grasp the door and lift up and out to remove. Now, remove these 4 screws. Next, remove these 2 Phillips screws beneath the door opening. Now, lift up on the panel to release it from these 2 retaining tabs, being careful as it's still connected to the door switch wire. Be careful as you'll be working around sharp edges. Disconnect the wire by wiggling and pulling until it releases. Then, lift up on the panel assembly to release it from the chassis. Now, remove the lint filter by grabbing and lifting up. Next, disconnect the moisture sensor wiring harness by depressing the locking tab and fish the drum light wire through the opening. Then, remove the 3 screws on the lint duct and pull out and down to remove. Now, remove the 4 screws on the front drum assembly. Then, lift up on the left side pivot out to release the locking tabs from the slots, and lift up on the right side to remove the assembly. Pull the bottom towards you, being careful as it's still connected by a wire. Then remove the wire from the retainer. Next, remove the screws on the upper frame plate. Then fish the wiring harness through the opening. Now remove the frame plate by pulling towards you and lifting up. After locating the idler pulley, carefully slide your arm in. Then press the idler pulley to the left side of the dryer to release tension on the belt, and carefully slide the belt off the drive motor and idler pulley. Next, lift up on the front of the drum and slide the belt off. Before pulling the drum, make note of what way the baffles are facing. With a baffle positioned at the bottom, the notch side faces right. You will need to position the drum the same direction when installing. Now, lift the drum off the rear rollers and remove from the dryer. The idler pulley tension spring is located here on the drive motor assembly. We're going to disconnect these electrical connectors to give us better access to the spring. This step is optional. Some idler brackets from the factory include a piece of foam for noise reduction. If yours does not have this, the removal and install steps for the spring will be the same. Remove the spring by inserting a flat blade screwdriver between the spring and bracket. Then lift off the other end. If you have a bad idler pulley tension spring and you need to purchase a new one, you can check out our website, partsdoctor.com. We'll leave a link in the description below. You want to make sure you're searching with the model number from the tag on your dryer to make sure you get the correct part. To install the spring, insert the end that bends away into the tensioner like this, then slide the other end onto the bracket. To install the drum, you'll need to make sure to position it so it sits on top of the rear drum rollers. To install the belt, lift up on the front of the drum, slide it over, and gently work the belt to the center of the drum. It is very important to make sure the belt is not twisted. Next, reach inside the dryer and place the belt over the drive motor and beneath the idler pulley. This may be tricky as you need to guide the belt in place by touch as it's difficult to see. With the belt back on the motor and idler pulley, it should rotate when you rotate the drum. Only rotate the drum clockwise. Spinning the drum the wrong direction may cause the belt to come loose from the motor or idler pulley. Now, install the upper frame plate by aligning the tabs on the left and right side, inserting and pulling the main body to align until it seats back in place. Then, reinstall the 5 screws. Then, fish the wiring harness through the opening. And reinstall the harness into the retainer. Next, place the door switch wire back into the retainer. Insert the top of the front assembly and align the retaining tabs on the sides. You may need to raise the drum for the rollers to seat properly under the drum and allow the tabs to seat in place. Now, reinstall the 4 screws. Next, install the lint duct. Followed by the screws. Now, reconnect the moisture sensor wiring harness by aligning and pushing until it snaps in place, and rerun the drum light wire through the opening and retainer. Then, reinstall the lint filter. To install the front panel, start by aligning the slots on the panel with the tabs on the chassis. Then, tilt the panel up and reinstall the door switch wire by aligning and pushing until it seats back in place. Make sure the wires don't get pinched between the front panel and chassis. Then, push the panel until it seats back in place. Then, reinstall the 6 screws. With the hinge swung outward, we'll first need to start by aligning this screw with this opening and set the door in place. Then, reinstall the 2 screws. To install the control panel, start by inserting the tabs on the panel into the openings on the chassis. Now, reconnect the 2 electrical connectors by aligning, pushing till they snap in place, and reinstall the wires into the retainers. Then, tilt the control panel back in place and reinstall the 4 screws. To reinstall the top cover, make sure the rear of it, which is noted by the gray pieces, is facing the rear of the dryer. Align the top cover guides to the opening in the top cover. Continue to push forward until it locks back in place. Next, reinstall the 2 screws. With everything put back together, plug the dryer in, test it out, make sure everything's working properly. So that's it for this video. If you learned something new, hit the like button. And if you enjoy fixing things, please consider subscribing.